Navy was in a giving mood today, and Notre Dame said thank you very much. 7 muffed punts and or fumbles. Notre Dame recovered 5. They won the turnover margin 6-0 and went on to win the game 51-14. This is Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis, brought to you by RV Manufactured Housing Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. Tim, I mean, we expected a little bit more from Navy's offense, but they just kept spitting the football up, and Notre Dame took full advantage.
Oh, yeah, I kind of joked on the first fumble when Adon Schuler picked it up and took off down the sideline. Well, that's the game. I didn't really mean it 100%, but, Navy cannot afford those mistakes against Notre Dame. And it got comical a little bit with the punts. And when you have 5 fumble recoveries and no forced fumbles, that's strange. But the key to this was, if none of that happened, Notre Dame's offense played well enough to win this game by 17 points, 21 points. The offense played fantastic. Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, it's 1-2. It was Jeremiah Love and Riley Leonard as a 1-2 punch today running the football. Riley Leonard, another good day passing it. Getting some explosives in, I think that was key. Really, the biggest part for me, there's no such thing as a turning point in this game, but when you have a 3rd and 3, and you see a 42-yard shot to Jaden Greathouse, you think, all right, they are really in a groove. They're not hiding behind a QB counter here. They had the offense clicking.
Notre Dame with 466 yards total offense. Navy had 310. But again, it was the turnovers that swayed it in Notre Dame's favor. As you mentioned, Jeremiah Love with 102 yards rushing on 12 carries, 2 touchdowns. Riley Leonard added 83 yards on the ground. He was 13 for 21. He did most of his damage early. Yep. He barely missed early on. And then Navy adjusted, I guess you could say, a little bit in the passing game, but they had no chance. Notre Dame was up by 3 scores over the final 35 minutes.
I think a very big play, not that Navy was going to come back and win this game, but it was when Blake Horvath broke free and Leonard Moore caught him. No touchdown was scored. A field goal was missed, and Notre Dame went down and kicked a field goal for a 31-7 halftime lead instead of a 28-10. It sounds little, but 28-10 with Navy getting the ball at the half, you at least have to think about something differently defensively. 31-7, you thought, well, this would take an absolute miracle. Credit Leonard Moore for that play, and he had another red zone win, the leaping interception on 4th down.
Brian Newberry had said during the week, and I made note of this, I put in our preview, that there's what happened last year has no bearing on this year. Well, last year was 42-3. Notre Dame won by 39. Today they win by 35. It did have a bearing on it because Notre Dame is just better physically in the trenches, and I think they took advantage of that.
Yeah, I thought Howard Cross had a good game. I was actually concerned because he limped off the field last week. Howard Cross had a good game. Jack Kaiser was all over the field. It's funny. I normally write down a 3-yard play as a stuff. Against Navy, he's like, well, actually, they want those 3 yards. But Jack Kaiser had a fantastic game. Jalen Sneed, I think, recovered from an early bad read in which Blake Horvath had the long touchdown run. Had a good day tackling, and also he had the fumble recovery touchdown. I thought we might talk to Sneed post-game, actually, for the first time. The linebackers, as far as Jack Kaiser said, I have to look at the tape. Of course, he's going to see good stuff from the linebackers. I mean, they were very sound considering what Navy can do to you. Of course, there's going to be a couple busts in a game with Navy's throwing everything at you, and Horvath is a really good athlete back there.
Yeah, he really is. We're down here, and the wind is swirling, and it was this way. We were on the field for quite a while in pregame, and we did notice this, and obviously Navy's return men really had a very, very difficult time. And it was pretty embarrassing for you. It was kind of comical for them. I'm sure they didn't view it the same way.
No, I mean, when you say you can't afford fumbled pitches from your quarterback, that's part of, I mean, it hasn't happened yet this year. They hadn't had a turnover since week 1, but you think that could be part of Navy's offense, fumbled pitches. That's what the option used to have a lot of fumbled pitches. You're dropping punts against Notre Dame. There's no chance of getting yourself back in the game. I don't think they were getting back in the game anyway, but that's shooting yourself in the foot against a team with better players, better athletes, and a scheme just as good as yours, and a defense that just doesn't give up many points, Tim Priester. They did not score a 3rd touchdown again. Navy, even with garbage time, did not get in the 3rd touchdown. That was Leonard Moore's pick.
And, I was... I'm a little surprised. And I realize, we can talk swirling wind and stuff, but I mean, Navy was pretty undisciplined.
They were.
The drop pitches, you just didn't.
They dropped a kickoff out of bounds. You could have bounced forward for another fumble. It went out of bounds instead. They were fortunate.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Again, Notre Dame took full advantage of it. It wasn't, 400. First of all, look, 51 points. I realize there was a defensive score by Sneed, but 51 points, you would think Notre Dame would have been well over 500 yards. But again, it was the turnovers, the short field. As I said earlier, Notre Dame had a 3-score lead over the last 35 minutes. And look, it was just completely one-sided. Notre Dame has outscored them 93-17 in the last 8 quarters. That's a sign of, we talked during the week about, hey, when Notre Dame has lost to Navy in previous years, Notre Dame wasn't very good in those years. Navy is good this year, and they'll continue to do good things in the AAC. but they're playing against a good Notre Dame football team that has now won 6 games in a row. The longest winning streak under Marcus Freeman surpasses the 5 in a row from 2020. This is a Notre Dame football team that is ascending. The competition is.
It is.
You didn't play the SEC today. You played Navy, but all you have is the teams that are at hand, and you have to handle them, and that's exactly what they did today.
But you played Navy and you killed Navy. You didn't get out of here like
right.
I thought they might. A 35-21 game against Navy. And to Notre Dame's credit for offensively, in the second half, Navy did actually start possessing the football. They had 2 super long drives in the second half. They must have chewed 16 minutes off of it in those drives, not scoring point, or they got a touchdown out of the 2 of the drives. And at one point, I thought to myself, is this really Notre Dame's second drive of the entire half? I think that's what slowed down the scoring a little bit. And at the end, also, you're not going for the hammer punch with 4 minutes left against Navy with Keidron Young and your running backs, as you would if it was perhaps an ACC foe.
9 different eligible receivers caught passes in the first half alone. Jordan Faison, it was good for them to get him loose. 4 catches for 52 yards. He had a 25-yarder that was negated. That looked like the Jordan Faison that we saw in the Sun Bowl.
Yes, and for Mike Denbrock to bring up Jordan Faison unprompted at all 2 weeks ago saying, I'd really like, what can this offense look like? Right. He went to Jordan Faison. That means they think big things are happening from Jordan Faison. This isn't just 2 analysts talking about what we saw in the Sun Bowl. Mike Denbrock said we need that in our offense.
Notre Dame moves to 7-1 with a bye week coming up. They win 51-14. This has been the RVMH Hall of Fame, sponsored by the RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana.